Welcome back to Out of the Box, Lloyd. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dave.
You know what's such about UFOs? I'm sure that that some things are wild imagination.
Right.
Like one time I remember back in 1976, right after I got married, I had been driving with my wife where we had the kids from one state to quite a little track, about 700 miles, and I got so tired. All of a sudden I looked up in the sky and I thought I saw a UFO, and I was screaming at my wife, "Oh, look, UFO, UFO." And all it was, Brother Lloyd, was this big old new kind of street light that was up on a pole, and I didn't see the pole because I was sleeping, and then it was just a natural man-made object. But on the other hand, you got some people with wild imaginations. People make things up for their own agendas. But there are those areas where you just have to wonder, what's going on here?
Right.
I remember back in 1986, there was this black triangle that I saw, and it was in southern Iowa, and I remember this vividly. I mean, you don't forget things like this. And it was in the fall, I believe, getting right before winter. And it was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I was in southern Iowa, rural area, and something caught my sight, my peripheral vision. I looked up. I can't prove it, but as sure as I'm sitting here talking to you, this is what I saw. It was like a purple to black triangle. And some see portals on the ends, on the corners of the triangle, but I didn't see any. But it was like 75 feet on all sides. I think the bottom side was maybe about 25 feet longer, and it was no more than 50 feet above me. It couldn't be. It looked like the size of about long as a semi-trailer with a trailer on it, and it just shocked me, And I remember feeling, you know how when you get clothes out of a dryer, I could actually feel the static on something going on in my arms, and it was going no more than 10 miles an hour. It lasted about 10 minutes, and it was not going straight. It was kind of like going kind of this direction, kind of straight, but off to the like 11 o'clock position. Then all of a sudden, Lloyd, it just went wham! It was straight vertical. It was going, and then it went wham! And it was gone. I mean, quicker than a second, quicker than a half a second. And now things like that. You'd have to begin to think, well, what's going on here?
It's unidentified.
Yeah, it's unidentified. I remember the only other time I saw one, but I had witnesses with me. I was a child, and this was at school in Ohio, and we did see a spear, a round spear. It was perfectly round as a clock. It couldn't have been a weather balloon, I don't think, because it wasn't moving. It was there the entire recess, for about 15 minutes, and we remember seeing planes fly by it, kind of go around it. And going back to this triangle real quick, I remember after that triangle disappeared in '86, I don't want to confuse people, but there about 4 minutes later, I did see some military aircraft come in. They were boogieing. It was like they were going right in the direction that thing was at.
Trying to find out what it is.
And then the spear, now this happened to be near, what I can remember correctly, is near like an Air Force base or something. There was an Air Force base within 50 miles of the area. But there's things that just happen that you think, what's going on here?
Is that near Dayton, Ohio?
It was in between Dayton and Cincinnati.
Because in Dayton, Ohio, they have what they call Hangar 18, which is
the
infamous Hangar 18.
Reverse technology thing of the Air Force.
Right. Dane, when I was growing up, I lived in a town called Arcadia, Florida. We used to sit on our front porch and watch the Apollo missions when they would go over. And Cape Canaveral was 100 miles or so away from us, and we could watch the craft go across the sky. Well, one night we were out on our front porch, and we was watching the sky, and we watched a disc-shaped object. Looked like just a bead of light up in the sky. And we watched that thing for 45 minutes, close to an hour, as it went across the horizon. Now, we have seen the Apollos when they would come across, and
right.
they would traverse, and you know, we'd have the television in the background listening to the blast off and off, and they would traverse. They would be traversing several
right.
Thousands of miles.
Right.
Well, this thing traveled nearly the same type horizon path that did. And when it got way over here, now 45 minutes or an hour, we've been watching this thing slowly go across the sky. When it got over here, in an instant, it went from here to all the way across the other side of the horizon where it first started. I'm talking about like that.
Right.
I mean, that quick.
Yeah.
We watched that with our, that's an unidentified flying object, in my opinion, because I knew of nothing that could fly that fast.
And we don't know what
and this was in the 60s.
But I don't know of any technology that we have that can do that.
Not in the 60s.
Yeah.
Anyways, pushing to get them to the moon.
Right. And well, you know, people say, well, I don't believe that. But, you know, there's some famous people that saw UFO, like President Carter. 41 when he was governor or former governor, I can't remember. And then you had a Buzz Aldrin. Now, Buzz Aldrin, he used to host a show called Blue Marble back in the 70s, I believe it was. He was the second man to step foot on the moon. Now, he said, now this, I heard him say this myself when he was being interviewed on TV. He said they had one track in their command module, unidentified flying object. And they were trying to hint around to NASA what was going on. They would say things like, well, where's that stage at? They're like the third stage to the rocket or something like that. Where's it located? And NASA engineers knew that thing done went into the atmosphere and burned up or crashed, and they knew something was going on. So they figured out they were talking about in between the lines, if you will, hinting around or something's tracking them. And Buzz Aldrin said that thing just stayed with them for over a day or so, and they did not know what it was. They couldn't. They all saw it, and he said it was just like hanging around, curious about what was going on. And then with G. Gordon Cooper, you know, Gordon Cooper, the character played by Dennis Quaid in The Right Stuff, who Gordon Cooper always claimed to be the greatest pilot in the world. He said he actually filmed a craft land at a military installation, and he filmed it, and he gave the film over to his superiors, and then when he asked for it, they acted like they didn't know what he was talking about. So, you know, something to think about.
Yeah, I have experience that we'll talk about
that when we come back.
When we come back off.
He's got an interesting story about what your grandmother told you about something
that's right.
This is what we call a third kind type of deal.
Right.
Okay, we'll be back in a moment with Out of the Box, and today's subject is
UFOs.
Okay.